let's talk about career paths for race drivers. Hello, race drivers. It's Enzo with the Race Driver Coach Show. Yeah, we're talking about career paths for a race driver, because when you look at this sport, you see the very top, right? You see the F1s, the NASCARs, the Indycars of the sport, of the industry. And when you look at it, it's difficult in some respects to understand how to actually get there from where you are now. There's going to be different types of people watching this video, some that are on the path already, on the ladder, high up, and some that are just dreaming to even get started in the first place. So I want to list everything out and just explain how these career paths and racing ladders work for the different main top championships. Let's just choose 4 of them for this video. First, we want to speak about F1, then IndyCar, then NASCAR, and then World Endurance, which is like Le Mans racing, right? And if I just show you the ladder for each, and then you can kind of get your head around, okay, I can see the career path for every single major championship. And I'm sorry about all the other championships that are major, like World Rally and all the other things that we could race, but just choose these 4 to make it simple. Here we go. So first off, you've got F1, which is really obvious. To go to F1, do a bit of karting. That's optional. Most do karting, obviously, because their family get them into motorsport early, and they're under 13 years old. So they're like, well, what shall I race? Karts. So that's the reason people go and race karts, is because there's nothing to do before that age anyway, because you can't jump into a car. So they usually start in karting, but it doesn't matter if you haven't. Don't worry. If you've got natural talent, you can still go straight into cars. People do it. Some people go from motocross and other disciplines. So if you pick it up quick, you don't actually need karting, but it's advisable because you learn racecraft and everything. But then you start with F4 in the car world. Most often, you know, some people do Ginettas in England because you can do that when you're 14. So it's before you're 15 is obviously the minimum age for F4. Then it's F3, then it's F2, and then it's F1. Really obvious. The path may be obvious, but walking that path, climbing that ladder, is difficult. And it's difficult for the simple reason of cash. You need so much money to make that happen. Millions, probably 10 million. I know there's drivers out there like the Bottas's of the world, Esteban Ocon. There's plenty of drivers that don't really, or didn't really have the money when they started. I mean, like working class, even Liam Lawson, working class money. Their parents just have normal jobs, yet they're still on the path, and 2 of them have made it. So you don't actually need personal cash, but what you do need, if you haven't got that, is somebody on your team you or yourself needs to sell yourself to people that can pay for it. And I'm afraid you need to be stupidly quick. You need to prove to somebody that you have the speed. That's the challenge. That's where karting is pretty good, because in karting, if you're winning in karting, you may get picked up by a driver program. You know, it's like a 5% chance, but you never know. Less than that, probably. It's probably 1 in 100, so it's 1% chance. Or you can pick up sponsors, or you just generate interest and open opportunities. So that's where karting can be good. So you get a reputation before you're 13. But if not, you've got to try and get into an F4 somehow, maybe a national version or another single-seater championship. But walking that path is going to take a lot of money. And I say that because for the first time ever, I heard a quote from a team recently, and that quote was €1 million to do F4. $1 million. Okay, that's including a lot of testing and other championships, and it's a double campaign and everything, but that's a lot of money to throw at a 15-year-old who you don't even know is that good yet. So then it has to really be family money, right? So it's $1 million for that. Then it's usually about $1 million actually for F3, because there's not much running in that. Double that, F2 is 2 million, and then to get into F1, you just got to be chosen, or you pay your way tens of millions, but the opportunity has to be there. So the F1 route I'd say the difficulty level's 9 out of 10. It's really hard because you do need the speed, and also you need that cash or somebody to pay for you. It's not just going to be given. So that's the first career path, right? It's pretty obvious. Everyone knows F1, 2, 3, and 4. It's just hard to walk. Next is IndyCar. Now, IndyCar has also got its own road to Indy. It's USF 2000. Then you move up to Indy Pro 2000. Then it's Indy Lights, and then IndyCar. That is a chosen route, but obviously you can, like a lot of people, get into IndyCar, do the European single-seater racing, and then hop over straight into IndyCar or Indy Lights, and you can usually do pretty well. So that is, it's not as rigid as the F1, 2, 3, and 4 because there's no super license points route. So fair enough. It's a bit easier. So I'd say it's 8 out of 10 to get to IndyCar, but you still need the cash. What I do like about the Indy Road to Indy is you have a scholarship system for the winner. So the winner of the USF 2000 gets like a gift voucher, 50% off, moving up to Indy Pro. And then if you win Indy Pro 2000, you get a nice little gift voucher that's pretty much 50% of the budget of Indy Lights. And then if you win Indy Lights, you get equivalent to $1 million to go and race in IndyCar. Now, I love the IndyCar route just because of the type of circuits, its rawness, how close you can get to it as a spectator. It's like racing really in the 90s, like F1 was in the 90s. It's a lot more welcoming, put it that way, and you can, and it feels like true motorsport racing. The racing's closer, and it's, yeah. So I'm a great fan of the American route. So if you're thinking of, if you have got some cash and you're thinking which one's more likely to happen, which one would I actually enjoy more, I think the Road to Indy wins. That's just in my book, and I love America as well, so it's another reason. Okay, so that's the single seaters mostly taken care of, the top 2 championships. Next, I want to talk about NASCAR. Now, NASCAR has a pretty damn good ladder system as well. There's plenty of late model stock kind of racing you can do just to get feel for it. And the low level stock car racing offers prize money where you can nearly pay for the entry in the first place. So you do a good result, you get there, and the prize money you get nearly pays for the racing, which is the way I think racing should be. It used to be like that in Europe in the 80s, where you'd turn up, get prize money, and it'd pay for everything. So you could kind of just run it. If only we could bring them days back, it'd be so nice. From there, you can do ARCA, which is obviously, now we're looking more like a NASCAR. Then you step up to the Truck Series, then Xfinity Series, and you're knocking on the door. You just have to now impress, get a bit more sponsorship in, and you could be a cup driver before you know it. So it's a long road, and there's a lot of money needed to be found to do NASCAR because they're out most weekends. Even Xfinity, they're out all the time. And they're not just racing, like the driver I'm with in Xfinity this year, he does the Xfinity race, but sometimes on the Thursday, he'll do the ARCA race at the same event. And then on Wednesday before that, he'll probably do some dirt oval racing in the midgets or in whatever else. So these guys are so active. They're going round and round, and this costs money. NASCAR is renowned for being a bit easier to get money for because everyone knows it. They know the crowd. They're all there. There's big numbers that go to watch these races. So it is sellable. So if you're into that, and they do more road courses now than I've ever seen before. So it is quite a cool championship. I like it. So if you're into that route, that's the ladder for that. Right. And lastly, I want to talk about World Endurance Championship. This is Le Mans racing. This is prototypes, this is LMP2 and GTs, GT Pro, GT Pro-Am. So this is where we get into the professional side of working for a manufacturer. And this is quite interesting. The route to get to here can be from anywhere. You can be an F1 driver and go over to the World Endurance Championship. You can be an F3 driver. You could be someone who's only done GTs all their life, and you work your way up that way. So there's lots of routes. There's not any defined way or ladder to get into World Endurance. Even British touring car drivers have gone that way. So it's open. Now, what I like about this is you can get a manufacturer early on if you're in the top championships, sort of like Porsches. Now, Porsche racing is something I'm a big fan of because most countries, like even Britain, France, Belgium, Germany, Italy, America, everywhere you look seems to have a Porsche championship, and it's well supported. And if you do well in them championships, the manufacturer themselves can take a look at you. You do stand out if you're winning in a Porsche. So I would say, if you're thinking of GT racing, the Porsche Championship, just take a look at all the Super Cups and that are out there and see what you can afford, because it's probably around £300,000 to do that, but you can get offers. If you're a driver with a bit of a reputation, there's offers to be had for 150 or so, and you can sell sponsorship on that kind of thing, okay, that kind of price. So I would look at them and say, okay, if I'm now starting to race and I want to be a world endurance champion, I want to win Le Mans, the 24-hour race for Le Mans, and you haven't started yet, you can choose the first championship as being anything. It could be a Porsche Cayman, it doesn't have to be a Porsche. It could be even a mini championship, an MX-5 championship. You're on that path. As long as you do well and you win these club championships that you start off with, and then you move up to like a national championship, gaining sponsors along the way. So remember, you're never just racing. You're racing and gathering sponsors at the same time. Race at the weekend, all week finding sponsors. And then you move up to like a national Porsche championship, then a bigger one, then the Super Cup. And if you're doing well in Super Cup, you're valuable to a manufacturer. And that's the key to having a career in motorsport, is to get the attention of a manufacturer. It doesn't just have to be Porsche. It could be Toyota. It could be anybody, Volkswagen, whoever's in motorsport that's at the top. You want to grab their attention. So your main idea or plan, if you want to be just a professional driver, not just F1, but a professional driver getting paid, is to grab the attention of manufacturers. And what have I got to do for that? I've just got to win. I've got to choose a championship that I can get into, whether I can sell myself, get a subsidized drive, or actually pay for myself. And I've got to do well in it. And it all comes down to that. So you have all these career paths. They're all nice, the ladders, they're all in uniform state. You're like, okay. But really, if you're fast and if you're winning in anything, you're going to grab the attention of people. Manufacturers and F1 junior programs and people that actually do pay for racing, for the racing of drivers and employ them, are only looking for a couple of things: a fast driver and somebody that won't embarrass them. So somebody who's presentable, somebody who fits their brand. And if you can do that, it might take years to build, but if you can do that and get in front of them, they're most likely going to give you a shot. So I want you to now start to reverse engineer what it is that you want in this racing world. You start at the very top. What is it that you really want? The North Star goal. Could be Formula One, could be, I just want to be paid to race. Perfect. If it's paid to race, we've got more options. You can choose any of them that we've just spoken about, but you can even look at British touring cars and things like this and do a mini championship, then do Ginettas. This is if you're in England, and build up that way, because from touring cars, you can go anywhere as well. Look at that, look at what you want, and reverse engineer what that looks like and bring it closer and closer to, what have I got to do next year? What have I got to race now? Or what have I got to win in order to make it up these ladders? Once you start to do that, you can start to create a plan, see how much money you need, see how you can just test the car, see how you can talk to the teams, and you start doing things then. But what I don't want anybody on this who watches these videos and this show, any of the race drivers, is just to keep looking and aiming too high. The first step is say, I've got to find $500,000, and you haven't got anything. Let's bring things closer. What championship can you do that costs about 20 grand? Anyone can raise 20,000 euro, dollars, pounds. Anyone. You just do the math on that and what it means you've got to earn each week. And even if it takes 2 years to save up, you do it. But at least you're racing in a championship. Even though it's not very nice and not very sexy, if you're in a championship, you're racing and you're winning, you'll be fulfilled, but you'll be creating a career. So it does take patience. So all these different ladders, as I say, they're very nice and uniformed, but you can jump from one to the other. It's not always as simple. I look at Scott McLaughlin going to IndyCar from Aussie V8s or supercar V8s. He hasn't raced a Formula Ford for how many years? Yet he jumped into the IndyCar and he's won multiple times this year. So you don't always have to have the career path that people want you to take.